Hey everyone, it's so good to see you all. Hey Girl Scouts. So we are heading into spring and we still have quite a few inspiring futures. And I'm so excited for you to be here for the one tonight because I'm excited about this one as well. So my name is Katie Herstein and I am the Program and Events Manager at Girl Scouts of Colorado. So in my job, I get to be the lucky one that gets to host this virtual series where we introduce our Girl Scouts to accomplished women in a variety of professions. So you can begin to be inspired about what your own future might be like. So we have a perfect partner that works with us to present this series, and that's College Invest. So College Invest is Colorado's college savings program, and it makes it easy for you to save for your education after high school. So it's a fancy way of saying that they exist just for one reason, and it's to help you and your families put away money to save for your own inspired future. So it's College Invest Savings Plan. It's kind of like a piggy bank, but it's even better because the money that your parents, your caregivers, your grandparents put into your College Invest Plan, it grows tax-free. So when it's used for your education expenses past high school, you don't have to pay taxes when you take it out. So your money goes even further and it grows and grows and grows. It's like an investment. So it can be used to send you to college just about anywhere in the country, or a trade school, or even an apprenticeship program that gives you real world experience. So we're going to hear a quick word from the College Invest CEO about what they hope you'll get out of today's session.
Hi, I'm Angela Beyer, CEO of College Invest, and welcome to this episode of Inspiring Futures. Through Girl Scouts, you've learned that if you can dream it, you can do it. And here at College Invest, Colorado's education savings program, we help you get there. And you're never too young to begin to imagine your inspired future. So how will you impact this world? Will you run your own business, invent a new technology, or maybe even discover a life-saving cure? But wherever your inspiration takes you, a College Invest savings plan can help make your dreams a reality. Now, prepare to be inspired.
Great. So on to a few housekeeping items before we get started. So as you could probably tell when we started this, it said we'll be recording it. So we can post it onto our Inspiring Futures YouTube channel because Girl Scouts who may not have been able to access the session tonight, they can watch it recorded. So still learn from it and benefit from all the knowledge we're going to have tonight. So we'd love to see your faces, which I can see now. Thank you so much for sharing your video. It's great to see you. And we're going to, if you have any questions, it's probably best to put it into the chat or to unmute and ask the questions when there's a gap in conversation so that you're not interrupting anybody. So hopefully that works for everybody, and I'll be monitoring the chat. So easy peasy, I can ask questions or you can put your Zoom hand up or something like that. Perfect. So next on, which we do before any of our Inspiring Futures and our Girl Scout meetings, is to do our promise and our law. You can unmute and join me if you'd like. You ready? On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. And then we have the Girl Scout law. I will do my best to
be honest and fair, friendly and helpful,
considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others,
respect
authority,
use resources wisely,
wisely,
a better place,
a better place, be a sister to every Girl Scout.
Every Girl Scout.
Awesome. Thanks. That was fantastic. So, and I was just also thinking before we get started, I know we have Girl Scouts on this call. They're from other places other than Colorado. So if you want, you can put in the chat and let us know where you're all here from. So we are so lucky to have SeaWorld in San Diego with us here tonight, and hope lots of you are inspiring to be marine biologists or work at the SeaWorld in San Diego or anything in between. We've got Jenny Smith, Jackie Kurtz, Caitlin McEwen, Kelsey Herrick, Anna Dinsdale, Jen Zarat, and Andra Kurtz. So I am going to take myself off video so we can focus on our guests here, and we'll get started. There they are. Hi, everyone.
All right. Hi, guys. So we're just going to kind of go down the line and just chat about who we are and what we do at SeaWorld. We all work here at SeaWorld San Diego. We all love our jobs and we all do something a little bit different. So I'm Dr. Kelsey Herrick. I'm one of the veterinarians here at SeaWorld San Diego. And as a veterinarian, most of my job consists of taking care of the animals in the park and then also our rescue animals. So there's three veterinarians that work in the park and then one intern veterinarian that's a training veterinarian. So there's 4 of us total each year. And we all take care of the thousands of animals that live in the park at SeaWorld. And then we also rescue thousands of animals every year. So we do all kinds of things. So no day is the same, which is one thing that we love about our job, but we do all different kinds of things. Sometimes we stay in the hospital all day doing procedures and anesthesias and surgeries and stuff like that. And sometimes we're out in the park all day doing exams on animals or collecting samples. But my main job is just to make sure all the animals stay happy and healthy and to continue to do like lots of routine care and then also to take care of animals when they're sick or injured. So I don't know if I should give more detail than that. Should I keep going?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Or you can talk about your route to becoming a...
Oh, yeah. And so to become a veterinarian, most people go and do an undergraduate degree. So you go to regular college. And a lot of people get a degree in biology, some form of biology. Some people do psychology or similar related science. And then some people just take science classes and major in something else. You have many, many different routes to get there. And then after undergraduate, you go to vet school for 4 years. And then you get your doctorate in vet school. And so after vet school, I did a specialty internship. And that's where I went to kind of learn really specialized medicine in dogs and cats. And that's kind of where most veterinarians either get their kind of baseline knowledge in dogs and cats or large animals like cows and horses. And then after I did that year, I came to SeaWorld as an intern and to learn a lot more about aquatic animal medicine. And that's how I ended up here. That's my story. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay. My name's Jackie. Hi, everybody. I work here at SeaWorld on the Arctic team. Before Arctic, I was actually in culinary, and then I went to education, and then I went to the rescue team, and now I'm with Wild Arctic. So we get to work with all different animals. I work a lot with sea otters, walruses like Shoo Shoo up behind me, beluga whales, and seals. Yeah. Cool. So a lot of it is just basic husbandry. It's a lot of cleaning and a lot of feeding and making sure that our animals, that their days are different and that they're interested and they're interacting with us, they're interacting with guests. So a lot of it is just routine animal care and then a lot of fun sessions throughout the day. In order to get here, I went to college I'm from New Jersey. So I went to a college there and we did a lot of field work in wetlands and by the ocean, a lot of hands-on work and learning how to perform just kind of basic science. And then from there, I did an internship over at Mystic Aquarium. And that's where I got my first hands-on training with animals. So fur seals, sea lions and seals, and beluga whales. So I did that for a few months. And then after that, I decided I wanted to go to grad school and study sea otters and other marine mammals more. So I went to University of Miami in Florida. And they have a graduate degree just in marine mammal science. So I got to work hands-on with manatees, dolphins, do some rescue work. And then I went out to California and worked at Monterey Bay Aquarium and volunteered with the sea otters there for 6 years. And then while volunteering there, I also worked at an animal shelter that also did wildlife rehab. So I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of animal shelters, it's not just dogs and cats and rabbits. They also have other departments where you can work with wildlife or livestock. So I did that for a couple years and then moved to SeaWorld San Diego just a couple years ago.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Caitlin, and I've had much similar to Jackie, a lot of different careers here at SeaWorld over the years. I started here as an educator, so doing tours, teaching people about the different sea animals here, and helping do interactions with our smaller animals like sea urchins or stingrays, things like that. And then I briefly moved into our fish house, which is essentially where we prepare a lot of the diets for our larger animals. So hundreds of pounds of fish every single morning, sending out to different parts of the park. And then about a year ago, I shifted into our avian department. So I get to work with the birds, mainly penguins, although we do also have parrots and flamingos and all sorts of other waterfowl. And it's been a great journey along the way. It was mentioned earlier that, you know, people have different college degrees. Maybe you have one related to zoology or marine biology, maybe you don't. That's actually my case. When I was initially in college, I wanted to do art, and I was really interested in drawing and sketching. But then I started working at SeaWorld over the summer and just fell in love with animal care. I'd always been an animal lover growing up. And so even though my major was still in art, I started to take a lot more classes in biology. I volunteered at the local animal shelter. So that's another way, if you're interested in working with animals, is to just get experience along the way. I worked at a rabbit shelter, all kinds of great stuff along the way. And then with the education department, I learned a lot about the different animals in the park and got to help with the penguin tours. So it's been really fun this past year to work with the penguins themselves. Similar to Jackie working at Arctic, over at Penguin, we got to make sure that they're fed every single day, that their habitat is clean. They do get fresh snow every day, so that's a lot of our morning, is just getting the habitat all nice and ready for the animals. And then we also keep the day interesting either through broadcast feeding by putting the fish into the water for the birds to go after there, and feeding, all sorts of great stuff, interesting, bring out toys for them to play with. So it's just a lot of routine, a lot of keeping things spontaneous for the animals.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm a senior killer whale trainer here at SeaWorld San Diego, which means I get to work hands-on with the 8 killer whales that call SeaWorld San Diego home every single day. And just like you guys heard everyone else talk about, every single day is different. So variety is the spice of life, both for the trainers and for the whales. So each day, the whales are going to get something new and super fun. So that can be different toys, different pools, different whale friends, different trainers. So every single hour almost is different for them. Kind of like school, you're doing something different every single hour. Every day here, though, the whales are getting a variety of different sessions. So being a trainer, we get to work hands-on with them and build a relationship so that the whales know us and we know the whales. So a little bit different than the other careers that you heard about is that we're building a relationship. We're also teaching them new things, training new behaviors. But that's just a small part of every single day. So we're also feeding them, making sure that they get the right medications. It's a little bit different though than being a vet or something else, because we are kind of sculpting the behavior, asking the whales to do different behaviors, and the vets are telling us what they need from us. So the vets could ask us for a pee sample from one of the whales, and then we have to figure out how to train the whale to pee in a cup, or to get different blood samples or breath samples, or brush the whale's teeth every single day. We train them how to do that, and we work with them very closely to build that bond and trust and relationship with them every single day. So they're getting a variety of different things. So you guys might have heard of our killer whale presentations. That's just a small part of what we do every single day. So they're getting those healthcare sessions. We can exercise the whales. We're doing a research study right now where we put a Fitbit on one of the whales and then we get their heart rate up. So it's a killer whale Fitbit. So we're doing a lot of research. They can also do hearing studies, like when you go to the doctor's office and you wear the little Beats by Dr. Dre and they play a tone and you raise your hand, whether you heard a tone, just like that at the doctor's office. We're teaching the whales how to do that so that the whales are healthy, as well as helping wild killer whales on how well they can hear out in the ocean. So I always knew I wanted to work with killer whales ever since I was 5 years old and I came here to SeaWorld San Diego. So everything I did leading up to that was to be able to work here with the killer whales and a lot of the other animals here at SeaWorld as well. So the 4 things that they're looking for here, so we'll keep it simple, 4. Go to college, so you guys stay in school, you can study whatever you want, whatever you guys have a passion for. If you have a passion for animals, there's a certain type of career, as you guys are hearing about, that would suit your passion, your interests as well. So stay in school, study whatever you want, whatever you're passionate about, and you'll find a way to work animals into it, because we need people who are lawyers to help make laws for the animals, people to go out and rescue, people in healthcare to help the animals, as well as trainers. So whatever you're passionate about, stay in school. 2, get a lot of animal experience. You might find that other animals you're really passionate about. So dolphins, sea lions, sea turtles, penguins. You might find that you're really passionate about an animal that you didn't think you would necessarily be working with. And then 3, be a really strong swimmer. So here at SeaWorld, we're working around a lot of sea animals. So you have to be a really strong swimmer. And then 4, for extra credit, you guys, after you're done eating dinner, I see a lot of you guys eating dinner on your Zoom call, go help your parents wash the dishes, because all 3 of us have a lot of dishes to wash. We have 8 whales and they eat about 100 buckets of fish, if not more. And we hand scrub 100 buckets. So that's 100 dishes to wash by hand every single day. So extra credit, you guys go help your parents tonight. Sound good?
You're loving that right now.
Yes.
Hi everybody, my name is Andra and I'm a registered veterinary technician, and that's just a fancy word for a nurse for animals. So my main job here at SeaWorld is to assist the veterinarian with their daily tasks. I also help the animals get their medications that they need. So pharmacy is a really big part of my job. If you guys can imagine, my patients every day can range from as small as a sea star to as big as a bird, a whale, or even a killer whale, sharks, stingrays, you name it. They all need medication sometimes when they're sick. Recently, we have a sloth who had a urinary tract infection, and we had to call in to get the medication flavored specifically for the sloth. So we work in making sure the animal gets their medication so that they can stay happy, healthy, and safe. Sloths really like hibiscus flowers or fruit, so we did fruit flavor his antibiotic and he got better. So it's always a challenge every day that's different, you know, working with different species, but you kind of have to think on your feet and think what would be best for the animal. A big part of my day is also monitoring anesthesia for surgery. So even small, tiny animals like fish have a heart rate, and all of their normal, healthy parameters. I have to make sure that the animal is safe throughout procedures. I give Dr. Kelsey the instruments she needs to perform the procedures, and I make sure that they recover safely from their procedures. If you guys go to the dentist every year or twice a year, as Hannah mentioned, our animals also need dental cleaning. So that's also a really fun part of my job is looking at the teeth or cleaning the teeth of different animals, such as otters, even beluga whales and dolphins. So that's really fun. Also, a big part of my job is working with the trainers. We really could not do our job without them. They form the relationship with the animal and they know their animal the best to let us know when something isn't right. They help the animal present their tail or their wing, whatever you have it, for a blood sample. And animals can't talk to us, so we depend really heavily on lab work or samples to kind of tell us what's going on under the scales or the fur or the skin. So that's really important. We really depend heavily on these trainers to kind of tell us what's going on and help us keep the animals healthy as well. A little about my journey. I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in veterinary technology. And while I was at school, I got to intern with wild sea turtle release down in Texas. So I became really, really interested in rehabilitation of animals. And I also get to help rehabilitate the animals here. But I went back to school and I got a minor in marine biology and started working and volunteering with wildlife. So I did a lot of hands-on experience with the wildlife I had where I was. There was an ocean, so raccoons, possums, birds, any way I could get wildlife experience, I got it. I volunteered at humane societies, at a local vet hospital, and any skills that you form with any animals, they're mostly translatable back. We're all sort of connected in the way that we all have lungs of some sort. We all have a heart rate, skin, everything is sort of relatable. So those skills got to translate to me following my passion of working with wildlife. And I was a zoo veterinary technician for a while working with cheetahs and elephants. And but my biggest passion is fish and all things aquatic and scaly. So I am very happy that I'm here, and my advice to you is to follow your dream. No matter how crazy it sounds or how hard to achieve it is, you can achieve it if you stay in school and always have that passion to get you through the day.
We pretty much all started scooping poop. Yes. So I think every single one of us scooped poop first. And it doesn't even, it maybe wasn't even sea lion poop. It may have just been dog poop or whatever it was. But everybody has to start somewhere, and even cleaning kennels at a rescue is going to get you one step closer. And so, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We did have some girls ask some questions in the chat that I'm going to read out. Let me scroll up to the top here. Do you have any land animals at SeaWorld, or is it all? I haven't been myself. And so I know some of the Girl Scouts on the call probably haven't been either. Do you have land animals as well as sea animals?
We have a few. We have some terrestrial bird species, and then we have a couple sloths, and then we have some animals that dwell on the coastline and feed in the ocean, like pinnipeds. So we kind of have a variety.
Awesome. And actually, you know what? I saw that Ava had her Zoom hand up. Ava, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Let's see. Can you tell us some of the names of some of the animals at SeaWorld?
Well, I work with 8 killer whales. I work with 4 boys and 4 girls. And our oldest one is 58 years old. Her name is Corky. And then our youngest one is 10 years old. His name is Makani. And each of the whales has their own personality as well as their own name. And Makani is very different than Corky. Corky, normally when you start working with killer whales, you start working with Corky because Corky is one of the most gentle whales. She knows what she's supposed to be doing. Whereas Makani, our little 10-year-old, he's almost like a 10-year-old little boy, like a 10-year-old third grader who drank a Red Bull. He's very, very creative. He has a lot of energy. And he lives there with his older sister, Kalia, who's 18 years old. So just to run through all of it, we have Corky, Ulysses, Orchid, Keat, Shuka, Aikaika, and Makani.
And then for our bird department, we have nearly 300 penguins. So not all of them have names. It would be a lot of work to go through there and check off, Bobby, Susie, etc. But they do all have numbers, and sometimes they get a nickname maybe based off that number. For example, our oldest emperor penguin is just number 5. But we often just affectionately call him Fivers. He is 48 this year, I think. So he's well up there. Some of them do get actual nicknames depending on how social they are. And we do, of course, have some other types of birds like parrots or geese. We only have a couple of them, so they might also have names. For example, we have a parrot named Baron and another one named Rhett. But yeah, for the penguins, it's just all over the board, whether we have a number for them or a little pet nickname.
I'll say that, so I worked in rescue for a couple years, and those animals just get kind of an ID number, depending on like, okay, this is the 17th animal that came in 2023. So typically those animals just have an ID number because they'll be released back into the wild. But now I work with the collection animals, and we have 6 sea otters. We have Mocha, Coco, Pumpkin, Nova, Abby, and Clover. And we have little nicknames like Abby can be Abalone, or Nova can be Nova Star. So they have all different nicknames. And then we have our 5 walruses. So those are Middick, Shoo Shoo, Kulu, and Bassa. We also have 3 beluga whales, Klondike, Alua, and Ferdinand, which Ferdinand is actually the oldest beluga, and the oldest known beluga in any zoo or aquarium. He's 53. And then we also have 6 seals over at our exhibit right now. One of them is a ringed seal named Knapjack. And then we have 5 harbor seals, Phoebe, Tomas, Phoebe, Denali, and oh my gosh, one of them, they just came from Pack Point, so I'm trying to remember. Phoebe. Grimsey, thank you, Grimsey. We just got them in a couple weeks ago.
And are they named before they get to you, or is SeaWorld naming them?
Most of those seals were either born here or they were rescues that were deemed non-releasable, so they get named by us. Yeah, they were just at a different exhibit.
How fun. And I know Mandy's daughter, and I'm so sorry I forget your first name, but you've got Mandy up as your Zoom name, so I know that you have a question. Do you want to unmute and ask? You're still muted.
Is it me?
No, Kate, I'll get to you next. Or if you want, you can type it in the chat.
Raising their hand.
How about we go with Flexi Girl, you've got your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So what inspired you to do the jobs?
To do your
Did you hear
job.
that? What inspired you to do your jobs?
I'm similar to Hannah. So I grew up here in San Diego, and so I came here all growing up as a kid, and that's what made me want to work with aquatic animals. But I also decided I wanted to be a veterinarian because I read the James Herriot books with my grandma as a kid, and I loved his stories about being a veterinarian in England, and that's why I'm a veterinarian.
What was your question again?
No.
The question was, what inspired you? What was that little inspiration moment, or did you have it before you even remember that has you at SeaWorld?
I'd say for me, it's kind of the same. I grew up coming here as a kid. My great grandmother would take me several times a year to visit here. We also go to the San Diego Zoo. And it was sort of kind of a little happenstance along the way where, again, I was studying something different and then started working here. I got to meet a lot of people behind the scenes. That was the nice thing about education, was that since I'm helping people out at different animal exhibits, you get to meet a lot of people that care for the animals and maybe help them out a little bit. So getting that little glimpse into the experience of working with these animals, I would have been happy to work with any of the creatures here, but specifically when I was helping with penguin tours, it was just really nice to see that bond between the bird and the person working with them. And I was able to move over. So it's just getting to see different aspects of life that maybe you wouldn't normally get to see and figuring out which one you like best.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think same for me as Caitlin. When I came here, I saw a killer whale when I was 5 years old for the first time, and I've never seen a killer whale in the wild. And I've lived in California my whole life. I've even gone up to Washington to try to see killer whales, but I have never seen a wild killer whale. So seeing them that up close and seeing how amazing and majestic they are and how just incredible they have a bond with both the trainers as well as the other whales, and see that up close in person was just amazing. And I knew I always wanted to be a killer whale trainer, and that's why I think it's so important now with me working with them is that have you guys come up and see. You live in Colorado, there's not an ocean out there, for you guys to come see killer whales up close and see how each of them have their own personalities and how they interact with each other, and just how incredible they are. Because if I hadn't ever seen a killer whale, I wouldn't know this much about them, and I wouldn't care that much about our oceans if I hadn't seen them that up close and really form a relationship with them.
Awesome. Okay, so now, Mandy, I know, yeah, why don't you do your question?
What's the oldest sea animal in the park?
The oldest sea animal in the park.
Corky's 58. So
Yeah, I think that means, yeah.
What kind of
Our
animal?
parents are like 30, yeah.
I think it's probably our sea turtles. They live a really, really, really long time. They've been here since the park opened.
Oh, that's neat.
Wow.
60s.
And my second question is, why is SeaWorld called SeaWorld?
Can you say that again?
Why is SeaWorld called SeaWorld?
You want to
SeaWorld called SeaWorld?
You know the story, right?
Good question.
Yeah, so did they name it? So there were a bunch of friends from UCLA, right? They went to UCLA, I believe. And they wanted to actually start an underwater restaurant called SeaWorld. And that actually is now our research building. And I think they just really kind of couldn't make it work. And then they just decided instead that they were going to make a zoo for aquatic animals, and they decided to call it SeaWorld.
Good
That's
question.
the extent of that story that I know. There may be more to it, but
Who's the oldest killer whale, like out of the girls and the boys?
The oldest killer whale, her name is Corky. She's 58, and that's for the girls. So Corky's a girl. She's 58 years old, and that's basically like a grandma killer whale. So the girls get to live longer than the boys because the girls are more important in killer whale society. So the girls, they run the whole pod. They have the kids, they raise the kids, and they become the grandmas to help look after the younger killer whales. So they get to live longer than the boys. But our oldest boy killer whale, his name is Ulysses, and he's 45 years old. So those are our oldest killer whales.
Wow. All right, we've got Smart Owl. You've got a question? Love all these names.
Do you ever get hurt helping the animals?
So that is something that you have to be aware of when working with animals, especially ones that are not just like a pet cat or a dog. These are technically wild animals. But one thing that we get trained in, I'm sure this is the same for a lot of us here, is how to set up a scenario where that's less likely to happen, whether it's because we're wearing protective gear or making sure the animal's not in as stressed of an environment. That's also why we work with the animals so closely, is that they're used to these kinds of things and they're not necessarily scared that a human is trying to touch them when interacting for a vet exam. So it does happen, but ideally we're following safety protocol and making sure that both human and animal come out of it with as little as possible.
and if we have a really aggressive animal or an animal we know that we have to do something that might hurt, we can either sedate them or put them under anesthesia so that they're sleeping while we do that, so that no one gets hurt, including the animals and the people. And then we wake them up.
Great. Next question, you've got your Zoom name as Troop.
How many animals are there?
Like at SeaWorld,
Question.
if you count the fish, probably a lot.
It's 375 species.
I think
Oh.
it's close to 25,000 animals.
Wow.
Jenny,
Has
right?
there any new animals there?
What's your newest animal?
We
Like
do have
any
a couple. Oh,
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, actually, we just got a new sea otter from Monterey Bay Aquarium about a week ago. Her original number was 921 because she's the 921st sea otter they've ever rescued. And she's in the back of our Arctic exhibit right now with one of our sea otters named Mocha. She's kind of one of the more motherly ones of our sea otters. So they're in a back pool. And right now the trainers are just working on getting her used to people, because when she was at Monterey, the original plan was to try to release her, but she had an injury from a fishing line that wrapped all the way around her body. And it was determined that she was getting too cold to get released back into the wild. So now she's going to live here with us, and we're calling her Chili as her new name. So at the moment, yeah, she's our newest animal. We have 7 sea otters.
We also just finished our penguin nesting season, so we have a couple king chicks that are less than a year old. So that's a baby.
Fantastic. All right, next up is Heidi.
How many hours do you work?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that depends on the department. So I work part-time right now. So I'm typically in for 3 days a week for 8 hours each, plus or minus a few minutes. If needed, though, I can come in for extra hours if we're understaffed or if there's a big project we're all working on and we need extra people. If I was full-time, like some of my other coworkers, then I'd be in for 5 days a week for those 8 or so hour shifts, about 40 hours, give or take, at maximum.
I feel like it's important to note, if you guys really want to have a career with animals, what you're really going to get yourself into is that animals don't care whether it's Christmas, whether it's raining, whether it's Saturday morning. Guess what? They're hungry. They need to be fed. They still need to be cleaned up after. So most of us work weekends, holidays, in the rain, in the summertime. It could be 80 degrees out and you're wearing a giant thick wetsuit. Yes, so Christmas morning, I'm here feeding the whales. I get to spend 10 hours on Christmas with the whales, but we also make sure that it's really special for them too. So they get extra fun, special Christmas gifts. This past week, was Easter, so it was just another day for me. I spent all Easter here, and each of the whales got their own fun Easter basket. So we like to do a lot of fun things to make sure that it's really enriching and fun in their lives too, with how much time we spend with them.
Awesome. How about Brianna? We got lots of questions. This is awesome. How about Brianna? You're up next. I don't think we can find Brianna. No, I don't see Brianna. Okay, we'll go back to Heidi. You have another question?
What is your favorite animal?
I bet you they all have different ones.
That's a really hard question because we all love all the animals. I think my favorite is probably sea lions because that's where I started my career, was working with sea lions. And I'm gonna pass it off. Nobody likes to pick a favorite animal, but I think everybody probably has one that's closest to their heart, which is better to be said, I think.
How about Isabella?
What has been your hardest animal?
The hardest animal. The one that gives you the hardest time.
That's giving you the hardest time. I would say for the bird department, it's not any particular animal that's difficult to work with, but we do have to be careful when their nesting season happens because they want to defend their nest as much as possible. They want to keep it safe because if they were in the wild, they want to keep that egg safe from predators or from other birds trying to steal their nest. So it does get a little trickier interacting with them when they're in that defensive mode. But yeah, at different times of the year, the birds behave a little differently, and we got to adapt to match that.
Great. How about Alice? Alice, you've got a question?
How many people are there working for all of the animals?
17 different departments.
Exactly.
In the summer.
There's thousands of people that work at SeaWorld, and there's hundreds of people that work directly with the animals. We don't know the exact numbers right now. Although I could look it up real quick and then get back to you.
Yeah.
Look it up on it.
It's probably on the internet somewhere, right?
I have it in a recent email.
How about Jennifer? Jennifer Tallman. Jennifer, that's your Zoom name that you have. Jennifer, do you want to tell us your question? Well, we'll move on to Flexi Girl.
How do you train the animals?
I'll try that one. So the biggest thing with training is that you have to build a relationship with them first. Kind of like when you guys have a substitute teacher at school and you know that they're not the real teacher and you try to get away with a lot of different things, right? But you know when the real teacher comes in that you guys have to pay attention. Same with the whales. So when you're new, you're like the substitute teacher with them. So they'll try to see how much they can get away with because they know that you're new. So you have to spend a lot of time just building that baseline relationship so that they get to trust you and they get to know you. So they know each person individually. They have excellent eyesight, so they can tell each one of us apart. So they know what relationship they have with every single person. And we actually use positive reinforcement here at SeaWorld, and that what that looks like is telling the whales, dolphins, sea lions, whatever animal it is, good job. So you guys might have seen that infamous whistle or heard that really high-pitched whistle. The whales and dolphins, they can't really hear our voices. So like a dog or a cat, you can tell them sit and stay. But for a whale or a dolphin, that wouldn't really work. So that's why we use those hand signals to communicate with them. Each hand signal correlates to one specific thing. So I could ask them to spin. I give them the hand signal to spin, and it's always asking them a question. Hey, do you want to go on this behavior? And they can say yes or no. So if they go on that behavior, so if I ask Makani, our little guy, to spin, and he goes out in the middle of the pool, does a beautiful spin, I can blow that really high-pitched whistle. He can hear that all the way across the pool, lets him know, great job. So every time that he hears that whistle, he knows, I did it, I did a great job, stop what you're doing, come on back and get a reward. That reward can be fish, ice cubes, a back rub, toys, different whales, a big party every single time he gets it right. Now, Makani, he's like a third grade boy. He likes to have his own ideas. He thinks certain things would be better if he did them himself. So if he doesn't quite get it right, just like you guys, if you're taking a math test, sometimes you don't get certain things right. When he comes on back, I just look at him for 3 seconds and say, hey, that wasn't quite right. And then we go ahead and move on. So basically it's like when you take a math test and your teacher still gives you points for even trying the problem and say, hey, thanks for having a great attitude. Thanks for sticking with it. We're going to go ahead and move on. We keep getting to learn. We keep getting to interact, and he still gets chances to get things right. So that's how we train our whales in baby step approximation. So a lot of different baby steps. When you guys are learning, you learn the alphabet, then you learn words, and then you learn sentences. So same thing with the whales. We kind of build on that.
Great. Okay, so we only have a few more seconds. So I know Flexi.
There's 100 people that work with the animals, and that doesn't include our vet staff. So I don't know why we're not included in that.
All right. Flexi Girl, I know that you were going to ask a question.
I have to. So one, what do the animals react to thunderstorms?
Interesting.
My dog does not like thunderstorms.
We haven't really seen a reaction since they mainly live underwater. So it doesn't really affect them as much.
And I would say for some of the animals we have that don't always live in water, for most of our penguins, they live indoors to keep it cold, so they probably wouldn't even know the thunderstorm was happening. But for some of our more outdoor birds, like the waterfowl, the parrots and stuff like that, maybe if it was really wet and they didn't want to be wet, they'd go into one of the shelters we have for them. But I don't think we have any birds that get scared of the noise, as far as I know.
Technically, they're all wild animals. They're all kind of used to the sounds of nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of the animals might even enjoy the rain, or as much as we can tell, they're enjoying it.
Right.
So how would you feed them on a stormy day that was like thunderstorming? What would you do?
They came back with that, and she was like
if we're working that day, how does the weather affect us?
Yeah. So
Well,
if there's a
you can't really
thunderstorm
go
in
near
San
the
Diego.
pools when there's lightning, because lightning and water don't really mix, as you guys will learn. So we have to go ahead and feed the whales as fast as we can, and we still get them everything they need. So we still brush their teeth, still make sure they are learning things, still getting their food. But we have to be more careful when we're around the water, and it doesn't really affect the whales as much as it affects us.
Like she mentioned earlier, we're here someone's here every single day taking care of the animals. So then if it's a really stormy or just hectic day, someone's got to take care of them.
Luckily, it doesn't happen that often in San
Yes,
Diego.
Yeah. Yeah, nice weather there. Okay, so if you ladies don't mind, and there's a few more questions. So how about back to Mandy? I know you've got your hand raised too in your Zoom.
What do you do with the animals? Like if you need to like give them a checkup or something, what do you do to like do you have to get them out of the water?
So some of them we do. Some of the animals we bring them to the hospital, but some of the animals we can't do that. Like we can't bring a killer whale to our hospital. They wouldn't even fit inside the door. So so some of the animals we go to them, and we do things either in their pool or next to their pools. So it just depends on the animal. Like a penguin, we can easily bring into our hospital to do a checkup, but a killer whale, we go to them. We go to their pool and we do a checkup on them there.
Okay.
And go ahead.
That's it. And then last question is
Did you have another one? Another question?
no.
Okay, so let's go to Olivia.
What's your favorite part of your job?
Favorite part of your job?
Oh,
I would say for me, it would be seeing the animals benefiting from a lot of what we call enrichment, which is essentially like either a toy or a new activity or something like that. For the penguins specifically, we have to blow in snow every morning. And so one of my personal favorites is when that fresh snow is going out, a lot of the birds will like start jumping into the fresh snow and just tobogganing down the sleds and just having a lot of fun with that. So it's interesting to see how the birds react to new things and seeing what they seem to enjoy and what they seem to not be as interested in.
I think it depends on where exactly you work in the park too, because when I was in education, my favorite part was being on the microphone and seeing kids and everyone just learn new things and get excited about animals and getting to touch a stingray, just something that's memorable to them. When I was in rescue, it was getting to release an animal that you had cared for weeks or months at a time. You saw this animal get better because of all this hard work you put into it. And then you get to watch it get released right back where it came from in the wild. And now as a trainer, it's completely different. Now you're working on, okay, I want this animal to like me. It's not a wild rescued animal. This is an animal that I can build a relationship with.
Great. Smart. We got 3 more questions. Smart Owl.
How old can a shrimp grow to be?
How old?
That's an awesome question.
We have some shrimp right now that are probably this big, but their lifespan is probably less than 5 years.
I think it's,
but they're all so cute.
I would honestly have to look that up, but I don't think it's very long.
Heidi?
I have two questions. One, what is the cutest animal?
Oh, we're all gonna have different answers.
They're
all so cute. They all have their own personality, so that's a very hard question. But a newborn baby harbor seal is pretty darn
Yes.
cute.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone can argue with
I think
that.
baby animals across the board. You know?
Good, awesome. So last question, we'll take one more question from True.
What's your rarest animal?
Rarest.
What was the question?
The rarest.
Oh, we only have one ring seal. I mean, I think the probably the most like endangered animals that we have in the park are probably our sea turtles. I'd have to look it up again, but that's a pretty endangered group of animals, and we have a good amount of sea turtles. There may be others that are equally as threatened. They're endangered mostly because of ocean pollution. So
Yeah.
I want to encourage everybody to clean up the beaches and clean up any ocean trash that you ever find.
Yeah, that's as we should wrap up because we're a little over time. But that is great. Something to end with is keeping our oceans clean, keeping our rivers and our lakes and everything clean. They're a lot of part of Girl Scouting, especially there's a brownie badge for second and third graders that does concentrate on water conservation, cleaning the water for our own use and for animals' use. And I'm pretty sure SeaWorld's message is all about that too, which is going to keep our wildlife safe. So thank you so much, everybody. It was fabulous hearing from you. Thank you, Girl Scouts, so much for all of your clever questions. And we will hopefully see you at another Inspiring Futures. We have an archaeologist coming up and an architect coming up, and we'll take a break for the summer. And we've got some things lined up for the fall. And I will be emailing all of your caregivers with a link so that you can get the Inspiring Futures patch. So I'm just going to quickly show it to you. There we go. So that's the Inspiring Futures patch. And so tonight you know what? I don't know which one. What do you think we should get? The outdoors one, the life skills one, the STEM one? We kind of covered all of those tonight, didn't we? So I will email your caregivers and they'll send me your addresses and you'll get that patch in the mail. All right. Well, thank you very much. Girl Scouts, do you want to come off mute and give a good thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Guys.